Newman, Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham, today's newsmakers, and you, the Morning Majority.
105.9 FM, WMAL.
7:07 on the Morning Majority. We have Tom Bevan of Real Clear Politics on the line. Good morning, Tom. How's it going?
Good morning, Mary Catherine. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Well, tell me what your assessment is about these Bain Capital attacks on Mitt Romney. A couple of folks, Huntsman and Santorum, have refused to jump on that bandwagon. Is it something that will backlash, or is it inevitably going to hurt him in the general election?
Both, probably.
I just thought of that. The answer could be both.
I think, look, this is somewhat of a fault line in the Republican Party. I think, because I do think there are people out there. I mean, this is part of what motivated the Tea Party, at least in a lot of folks' analysis, was, big government bailouts, the Wall Street bailouts, bailing out banks, the idea of moral hazard. You remember Rick Santelli's rant. That was about mortgage relief programs and all of that. So I do think there is a sense among the Tea Party that, this sort of big, the Wall Street aspect of this, there are folks who do think that's a legitimate area of inquiry of Romney's record, right?
But isn't this
to say he was a private equity guy? He wasn't a venture capitalist. He was a private equity guy. And the argument that Gingrich and others are making is, he wasn't a Steve Jobs. He wasn't out there creating jobs. He was out there looking at companies, buying them up, sometimes breaking them up and selling them off. And it's, look, the idea of creative destruction, it's a tough argument to have. It's a legitimate argument, but it's a tough argument to have in the Republican primary. And again, I do think it's something that Obama's going to go after very hard. And it puts Romney in sort of the position of being a defender of, that kind of a Wall Street and big business, and that's not necessarily the best place to be in this political environment.
Yeah, I think you can make the case that Romney was a venture capitalist, especially in the beginning. I mean, and some of the companies that they did turn around, I mean, they put money into it to make them better, make them thrive. I mean, I think he can make the case. He needs to probably do a better job of doing it. But does it speak more about Newt, and this is what everybody always had the problem with Gingrich on, is that he's undisciplined and he never where he's going to go on this issue. He does attack Bain, and he does attack Romney, and his super PAC certainly has. And then he goes out yesterday and says, well, no, I'm not really doing that. And then he defends himself and saying he's not attacking Bain, but he's doing it. And everyone's like, well, where do you stand on this? And this is the whole issue with Newt Gingrich and his candidacy in general.
I agree. And look, he's treading on very thin ice. I mean, he's entered a territory which makes a lot of Republicans sort of uncomfortable because, it has caused people to say, listen, you're attacking capitalism. I mean, it's a fairly nuanced thing, right? And I don't know that. So I mean, you've seen John Huntsman. He did that in New Hampshire. Now he's saying, look, let's stop these attacks. They're not necessarily where we want to go. And there is legitimacy to that. I mean, Romney's got a lot of issues with his record, and quite frankly, these candidates have given him a fairly free pass on those aspects of his record. Like, I mean, when's the last time someone mentioned Romney Care?
Right.
It's as if that has totally gone away as an issue. So I think there are legitimate gripes to say, hey, listen, of all of Romney's, political sins, his time in the private sector is probably the least offensive, and stay focused on the other stuff, and they just haven't done that.
Well, on the nominees, those non-Romney candidates that many in South Carolina, the so-called social conservatives, might want to look at, it looks right now, according to the only poll that I've seen on your website this morning, that Gingrich is nipping at the heels of Romney. It's Romney 23, Gingrich 21, Santorum 14. But don't you detect, in looking at all of the polls, at least is what I detect, that the trend for Gingrich is down and the trend for Santorum has been in some cases up, and that if anybody's going to actually knock Romney off stride, that the social conservatives need to sort of pick one horse there and ride it.
Yeah, Brian, that's exactly right. And that poll is an insider advantage poll, and we'll be getting more data, but you're right. I mean, if you compare that to the last Insider Advantage poll, so apples to apples, which was taken in mid-December, Romney's up 4 points, Gingrich is down 10 points, and Santorum's up 10 points over the course of the last month. So there has been that kind of movement, and that's the thing. I mean, you've got these candidates who are, Gingrich and Santorum are splitting 39% of the vote. Rick Perry's got another 5%, so you're at 44% of the sort of non-Romney vote. And Romney's at 29.3%. So it's out there, but it's just divided up. And again, Perry's made this his last stand, if you will. He doesn't seem to be getting any traction at 5%. So there's an argument that even if Romney wins South Carolina and that forces the field to winnow further, you'll see Perry drop out almost for sure, and you might see one of the two, Santorum or Gingrich, also give it up in the hopes of perhaps unifying that non-Romney, anti-Romney vote. I think that doesn't necessarily. If Romney wins South Carolina, a lot of people are saying this race is over, and it could very well be. But you could actually craft a scenario that's not unreasonable to say that the race will go on through Super Tuesday into the South with a non-Romney candidate in a one-on-one race. I think Mitt will still have to work to win this nomination.
I mean, theoretically, what you're saying is, okay, Romney's got 30% of the vote, but if all the non-Romneys got behind one guy and the others sort of fell out of the way, so that it was really, between the Romney wing and the social conservative wing, it would still be a battle for quite a while.
I think it would be, just because people, the Republicans they're not terribly thrilled with Romney, and they've wanted other options. They've wanted him for 7 or 8 months. Now, some people have sort of, I think, come to the conclusion, okay, Romney's going to be the guy, and they've gotten on board with him and sort of made their peace, but a lot of others haven't. And I think everyone that I've talked to in Iowa and other places, all of the Republicans that I interviewed, they said they were for other candidates. They were okay with voting. They were going to support Romney if he was the nominee instead of voting third party or staying home, but they would prefer someone else to be the nominee. And I think that sentiment will remain out there and stay out there for until the final bell is rung and he's got the delegates he needs to win the nomination.
One of the narratives popping up post New Hampshire, as the left often talks about things, is the 1% win in New Hampshire, and they attribute that to the fact that these super PACs allow everybody to, corporations to donate and billionaires to donate in large chunks that they weren't able to do before. But when I compared the spending to Iowa and 2008, Barack Obama had spent more on his own than any candidate plus a super PAC in the GOP race. What impact are the super PACs actually having that's different than the past?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. I think that's going to be one of when the history of this campaign is written, and Carl Cannon and I are writing in the eBook series. It'll probably take longer to digest than that. We'll have to go back and look at it after the race is over. I think super PACs are going to be, a part of this, perhaps even a big part. I mean, if, for example, Gingrich in South Carolina is a perfect example. You've got, Sheldon Adelson, a casino mogul in Las Vegas, gives him $5 million, pumps $5 million into his super PAC, which he turns around and uses to run this 30-minute video, anti-Bain, anti-Romney video. That's the kind of stuff that simply would not have happened before, could not have happened, and certainly couldn't have happened in the time frame that it's happening now.
Well,
and we'll see. I mean, if that does in fact derail Romney in South Carolina, it could be a big deal.
Right.
The battleground is definitely South Carolina, no doubt about it. Well, Tom Bevan is the executive editor of Real Clear Politics, and by the way, author of a new ebook. Ebooks are so cool. Election 2012, The Battle Begins. Tom, thanks for joining us.
You bet.